Okay, that'll be a little better. We'd like to welcome everyone here to this hearing tonight. We're glad that you're here. This is your time. We want to hear what you have to say, and we look forward to this evening with you. Before we get started in this proceeding, I want to take appearances from all the parties. So, and we'll start with the company.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the company, I'm Sam Wellborn. Along with me here is Frank Ellerby. We have with us as well, Mr. Chairman, staff from the company, including Bryce Mendenhall, Vice President of Operations for the company. And we would encourage the public as well, if there are any specific issues that need to be brought to the company's attention. Sorry. Where shall I re-begin? On behalf of the company, I'm Sam Wellborn. Along with me here is Frank Ellerby. We good? We also have Bryce Mendenhall, Vice President of Operations for the company. And I would encourage you, if there are specific issues that you need to have addressed by the company, to come to Mr. Mendenhall and his staff, and they'll try to help with that issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Andrew Bateman. Along with me up here this evening is Mr. Alex Knowles, representing the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff.
Hi, everybody. I'm Becky Dover. I'm the Assistant Consumer Advocate, and I'm here on behalf of the Department of Consumer Affairs.
My name is Jake Moore. I'm the attorney for the town of Irmo, South Carolina. We are an intervener into the action. We have with us tonight, somewhere out there, our mayor and I believe all of the members of council.
Thank you.
Say
Okay.
what? Barry, where are you? You were here a minute ago. We have Kelly Bush. We have the mayor. I know Eric is here, and maybe Kathy's not here yet, but I understand she's either coming or she may be with her husband, who has been fairly ill for a long time, as most of you know. I know she will be here tonight. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I want to introduce the members of the Public Service Commission. To my far left, Commissioner Butch Howard from the 1st District, Commissioner O'Neill Hamilton from the 7th District, Commissioner Swain Whitfield from the 5th District. To my far right, Commissioner Florence Belser from the 2nd District, Commissioner Tom Irvin from the 4th District. Our Commissioner Justin Williams from the 6th District is serving our country in Iraq right now, so we wish him well. We'd also like to welcome, we want to say thank you to Mayor Walker and the members of the Irmo City Council and everyone that's involved in letting us use this space so that we can listen to you tonight. Appreciate your hospitality here. We also want to welcome Senator Ronnie Cromer, who's here. I think Senator Harpootlian came in. There you go, Senator Harpootlian. Representative Chip Huggins and Representative Nathan Ballantyne. We appreciate all of you being here tonight. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Andrew Bateman to give us a few words from the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. As mentioned a second ago, my name is Andrew Bateman, and I'm an attorney with the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. The Public Service Commission is hosting this hearing tonight, and the agency that I work for, the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff, is a separate state agency from the Public Service Commission. You'll hear the Office of Regulatory Staff referred to commonly by its acronym ORS. The Commission is charged with making the final decision on the application that Blue Granite has filed. ORS is charged with representing the public interest and making recommendations to the Commission. This hearing is for you to share your thoughts about Blue Granite Water Company's request to increase its rates. The Commission scheduled this night hearing because they know it's a significant matter and they want to hear from you. What you have to say is very important. Please know that if you speak tonight, what you say becomes part of the official record in this case. Your testimony will be sworn and recorded by the court reporter, Miss Mary Jo Wheat. The Commission will keep in mind what you say when they deliberate and make a decision on this case. All the parties will present testimony and evidence to the Commission during the merits hearing, which will be held beginning at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 26th. The final decision in this case should be issued by the Commission by no later than April 2nd. If you speak tonight, I may ask you some questions. The attorneys for the other parties may also ask you questions. The commissioners may ask you questions. Please do not get offended if we do. It's simply because we want to learn more about what you're saying. On the other hand, please do not get offended if we do not ask you questions. As to the Commission, the commissioners and the Commission staff are required to follow the same rules as the judge. So while the Commission can ask you questions, they cannot answer questions. They're prohibited by law from answering questions. So please do not get frustrated if you state questions during your testimony and no one answers. With me tonight from the Office of Regulatory Staff, in the back, I believe we've got Ryder Thompson of the ORS Utility Rates Department. We have next to me here my co-counsel, Alex Knowles. We've also got Ron Aiken, the Manager of External Communications, Don Hipp, the Chief Operating Officer, and our Executive Director, Nanette Edwards, is here. Also, you may have seen coming in outside in the lobby, or I think actually just outside those doors, is Brad Kirby of the ORS Consumer Services Department. You're welcome to talk to our Consumer Services folks right now or at any time during the hearing. If you prefer to talk to myself, Mr. Knowles, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Edwards, or Ms. Hipp, you can stick around after the hearing and we'll be happy to talk to you for as long as it takes. I can't answer questions while testimony is being taken, but after the testimony is taken, we'll be happy to talk with you. If you would like to contact our agency later, ORS has a 1-800 number for consumer services. I'll give you the number now, but I'm also happy to give that to you later in case you're not able to write it down. The number is 1-800-922-1531. Our staff is available from at least 8:30 to 5 every weekday, and if you cannot call during office hours, you can leave a message and we'll be happy to call you back. To give everyone here a bit of context and an overview of the case before the Commission, the company has asked for a 35 to 55% increase in water rates and a 56% increase in sewer rates. In particular, the company is requesting to add a purchased water and purchased sewer charge to customers' bills, to change the value of its depreciation, to add a surcharge for customers' bills for a storm reserve fund, to allow customers to round up their payments to the nearest dollar with the funds directed by a community action agency, to assist low-income customers in paying their water and sewer bills, and to be allowed the opportunity to earn a profit for its shareholders of 10.7%. ORS and the interveners filed testimony in this case last Thursday. In short, ORS's testimony recommends a reduction in the company's requested revenue increase by a little over $3 million. The Commission is holding 7 night hearings in addition to the merits hearing, which starts at 10 a.m. on February 26th in the Commission hearing room. Please remember that we're all here tonight to listen to you. During your 3-minute allotment of time, you'll be treated with courtesy and respect. In turn, please be considerate and respectful to the Commission as you direct your remarks towards them. Thank you, and thank everyone for being here, and thank you for your attention during my opening remarks. Mr. Chairman, turning back to you, I'd ask that the sign-in sheets be marked and entered into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
The sign-in sheets will be marked and entered into the record as hearing exhibit number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bateman. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our attorney, Mr. Randall Dawn.
Good evening. Oh, this does work. Mr. Bateman did an excellent job of laying down the overview of what we're doing here tonight. I'd like to just reiterate a couple of things. First of all, as you heard, the commissioners are covered by the Code of Judicial Conduct, which means that they cannot discuss the case with you all. However, we're here to listen to you. So if you would please refrain from directing questions toward the commissioners because they're prohibited from engaging in that way. Also, if you would, please turn off your cell phones or other devices. And we're all turning our phones off. And further, if you would also please, we'll try to get through this and hear as many people as we can. Please observe the 3-minute time limit. And also, please conduct yourselves as though this were a courtroom because that's basically what we're doing tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dong. I know 3 minutes sounds like a short amount of time, but I know if you got your thoughts organized, it can be a really long time. We've got a clock here that Mr. Bill Richardson, who will be swearing you in, will be running and to help you so you can watch it and see where you are. When you come to the podium, when you finish your testimony, please remain at the podium for a moment because we want to make sure that if there are questions from any of the parties or any of the commissioners that we are able to ask you that. All of this is going to be on the record with Ms. Jo Wheat speaking every word that's said tonight, so speak clearly and so she can understand you. Now, when we start, Mr. Rob Bachman, who's over to my left, will be calling names, and Mr. Bachman will be trying to keep it moving so that we can have folks at the podium and we can hear as many people as possible. So, Mr. Bachman, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is Rob Bachman. Many of you all have never been to a public night hearing, so we're going to walk through the procedure very quickly. What will happen is I will call 3 names out. The first name will be the person who signed up first, obviously. They will approach the podium, at which point they will be sworn in by Mr. Bill Richardson. You will have 3 minutes, as discussed, to deliver your testimony. We will have the other 2 people sitting at these 2 reserved chairs in the very front row right down here by the podium. After the first person has delivered their testimony, they have waited for the commissioners or any of the parties to ask any questions. They will then be seated. You may then take your turn at the podium. I will call your name out a second time. If you're out of the room when your name is called, I will call it again. So please do listen for your name and please do follow that process as closely as possible. Aside from that, we'll get started momentarily. I'm just going to remove these 2 placards here. Our first 3 speakers will be Polly Clary, Herbie Meats, and Tom Vacula. Polly Clary, Herbie Meats, and Tom Vacula, please.
I guess I go first. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
Polly Clary. Are we ready? Good evening. I'm here tonight to ask y'all to deny this rate hike for Blue Granite. We just had a rate hike a couple years ago. That was mine. I only have sewer with Blue Granite, but it jumped about $20-something then. I know it's hard on people like me that are retired and single to try to keep up with the rate hikes. It's my understanding from what I've read that they're going to ask for a rate hike every year. So the question is to me, when does this stop? You know, how many times is this going to be done? And people on fixed incomes have to come up with the money for what appears to be mismanagement by Blue Granite or Carolina Water or whoever initially got them in this trouble, you know. And we don't have a choice. You know, we're the customers. We don't have a choice to go to another company or anything. We're stuck. So unless we get help, like from the commission and any other avenues, like attorneys for injunction and stuff, we're just stuck. You know, we're just going to have to pay this. I've also heard people say that they're going to eventually, if this rate hike goes through, move out of the community. And, you know, is that what we really want? People moving out because they can't afford a water bill or a sewer bill. That just seems ridiculous to me. So I guess that's all I wanted to say. So any help
Thank
you
you,
can
Ms.
give us would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the parties? Mr. Bateman?
Ms. Cleary,
Make sure you get your microphone, Mr. Bateman. We're live streaming, so we want to make sure everybody's heard.
Ms. Cleary, I have one really quick clarifying question. Do you recall where you read that the company may seek a rate hike every year?
I read it once through the state paper, and I forgot the other website I read that on.
Okay.
I do remember state, but I think it was a couple of places I saw that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the parties? Commissioners, any questions? Ms. Clary? Oh, who does? Yes, sir. Mr. Moore?
Ms. Clary, you say you're single,
Yes, sir. Retired, limited income.
and it's my understanding that you're charged the same amount every month. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
How much you paying right now?
$65.
So you're paying $65 a month for a single person to live in a house.
For sewer only. Just sewer.
How big is that house?
It's, I don't know, small, it's about 1,300 square feet, 14.
So with one person in a small home, you would pay the same amount for sewer as someone with 6 kids in a 5,000 square foot.
Yes, sir, I am. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you, Ms.
my water fluctuates, you know, depending on how much I use, but yeah, it's just high.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Herbie Hicks, followed by Tom Bakula and Bill Bird on deck, please. Bill Bird to the front.
Raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
My name is Herbie Metz. I live in Southwell subdivision off Irmo Drive. I've been a customer of Blue Granite Sewer Service for 18 years and strongly oppose any increase in the rates for Blue Granite. When I first started with Blue Granite in 2002, my sewer bill was $30.33 a month. By 2006, it had increased to $37.76, 24.5% increase. By 2014, $44.60, or an 18.11% increase. 2 years later, 2016, it had increased to $57.58, a 29.1% increase. In 2019, it increased $65.08, a 13.3% increase. Now, with the request before us, by Blue Granite is asking for $101.30, a 55.65% increase. From 2016 to present, they have requested increases totaling 75.93%. Enough is enough. My average water consumption, and we're getting to this because I've got a comment on that too. My average water consumption, I have a house with just my wife and I, we're both retired. Our gallons per month is 4,425 on the average. And that includes the months of June, July, August, and September when it's hot, and then we have to water our flowers and grass. Such increases for Lifeline services, and that's what this is, as noted by AARP in the previous rate cases, quote, very burdensome to older customers and can threaten health and safety, particularly for individuals such as our members of the low and fixed income customers, end quote. As you know, too many of older customers are already struggling to afford such increases because they spend a greater portion of their fixed income on food, sewer, and water than higher income households. The loss of water and or sewer service could require some households to forego other necessities, such as food and prescription medicines. Need I remind all commissioners such increases of 55.65% may contradict the long accepted practice of gradualism in rate design. And that's taken from SCPSC docket 2018-319-E, page 5. customers appearing before this commission have also noted that there are lower rates in our surrounding neighborhoods and areas. I know that you can't answer any of my questions tonight, but I do not understand the proposed breakdown in the new sewer rates of residential charges of $47.10 per unit is what Blue Granite's going to charge, and a sewer treatment charge of $54.20 per unit. I've got many more statements and things I'd like to say.
Well,
But,
you can, if you want to, you can give us your other statements if they're printed,
And
and
I did
we'll
want-
enter that into the record.
And I did want to make a statement too regarding Blue Granite's charge. My household consists of 2 people, as I said. We pay as much as a household of 4, 6, or 8 people, that's not justified. And Mr. Stefanano's testimony, page 13, lines 5 through 10, I believe he stated that the cost from their provider is based on volumetric tariff rates. What is the tariff rate, and why is my rate not based on volume? These
Thank
are
you,
some of
Mr.
my
Mitchell.
questions I would like to submit.
Hang on, questions from the parties. Any questions? No questions? Any questions?
One quick question.
Mr. Metz, I've got one quick question, which I think relates to what you were saying right at the end there. I think you're talking about the understandability of your current bill. So is it your testimony that the current bill is really too confusing to calculate what the rate is?
Well, no, I mean, the current bill just says you pay $65.08. That's it. What the rate increase here says that they're proposing, remember we've been paying $65.08. The rate increase that they're giving us says that Blue Granite will now be charging $47. And they're also going to be charging, because the city of Columbia treats that sewage, $54. So I wanted to know what makes up the $47.10 that Blue Granite's charging, because all they had was the lines, and the $54 that the city of Columbia is charging. And I note also in the last question the lady was asked, I think she was asked about, what was it now? No, my house,
We'd like,
I have
Mr. Mitz, if you just answer his question
Okay.
and we'll finish from there. Also, we're going to put your comments that you had printed in, we're going to mark them for identification as hearing exhibit number 7. So, commissioners, do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
thank you. Mr. Metz, you've obviously done your homework and you've done your research, so I commend you for that. You came prepared. We appreciate your input and your statements tonight. We certainly will give everything very serious consideration.
I
Thank
would,
you, sir.
I would certainly appreciate the consideration of those questions. I know you can't answer anything, but if they could be discussed prior to the meeting on the 26th, the merit meeting, and we could get some answers then, it would certainly be appreciated. Thank
I would
you for your
encourage
time.
you to talk with the members, people from the company tonight for any clarification on those questions you had. So,
Well, I think everybody needs a clarification on that, sir, not just me.
okay.
All of their
Thank you.
people out here would like to know that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your testimony.
Next we have Tom Vacula, followed by Bill Bird. We will have Diana Lackey on deck. Diana Lackey on deck, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, while people are talking, if you clap, it's hard for the court reporter to hear it's not going on the record if she can't hear it. So, if you would please hold that down if you can.
So help me God. Tom Vasola. I'd like to address the service that we're getting from Blue Granite. I was without water on January the 20th and 21st, both days. I called and got their answering service, probably about 5 times. Asked for a supervisor's name and phone number. They wouldn't give it to me. No one was making repairs on the 20th. Finally called on the 21st to the main office. Called there quite a few times. couldn't get a supervisor or a supervisor's phone number. The first excuse I got was a broken main line. I traveled the neighborhood, there was no broken main line. The second excuse I got was there was no power to the pumping station. I live across the street from the pumping station. If I have power, everybody has power. So that wasn't the problem. And when I finally went there toward the end of the day, there was a couple of men working on the pumping station, and they said that the pump was bad. So like I say, I live across from the pumping station. These are the excuses we get. 2 days without water. That's my statement.
Thank you, sir. Hang on 1 second. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners? Thank you, sir, very much for your testimony. Oh,
I'm sorry, just a moment. That was just a week or so ago.
January the 20th and 21st, yes.
And you called, what number did, you called the number on the bill?
Called the number on the bill, and I got, on the first day, I got their answering service.
Did they indicate that anybody else had reported an issue and that
They said they had numerous calls,
Okay,
but yet nobody went to the pumping station to repair it.
thank you very much.
Nobody was there.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
thank you, sir.
Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the folks outside have said there are 10 cars in the church parking lot that are not supposed to be parked there. So if you parked in the church parking lot, you probably need to move that. Thank you. Okay, let's call the next witness.
Bill Byrd, followed by Diana Lackey and David Stewart. You're on deck. David Stewart.
Testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth.
Yeah, I do.
Please state your name.
Okay, I'm Bill Byrd. I'm president of Provicon Ventures Corporation. We've owned and operated utilities in South Carolina, United States, and internationally for decades. I've been in the business a half a century. I have 2 points on this. Having looked at this and been through these type of rate hearings and put together proposals for rate increases for utilities in the past. Usually what we do is we look at what we need to run the utility, and then we double it. And we send it up to the commission, and the commission cuts it in half, and then everybody looks good, and we get what we really need. So I would suggest that the commission look really hard at exactly what is the amount of money these people actually need and what they're doing with it, because it appears they haven't been using the money properly in the past either. So look real close at that, get engineers up here to tell you exactly what they're going to do with the money, how they're going to spend it, where it's going to go specifically, not just here, so somebody, this is the amount of money we need, yada, yada. The second thing that discouraged me as being an executive and former chairman of utility, I noticed that the company has changed names. It looks like a possibility is existing, and this rate increase they've asked for to me is outrageous on any level, not even the stuff we've proposed in the past. But it looks like to me that they're looking to maybe if they don't get this rate increase to use an excuse to declare bankruptcy. You need to look real closely if this is some kind of end game they may have. A bankruptcy would throw a very big curveball into the laps of the ratepayers here, what they do with the bankrupt company. They would just get their funds out of the company as best they could and walk away, which might be the smart move. And I've done that with companies too. We've had companies go bankrupt because they just didn't make any money. We spun them off and it got out. That might be what they're doing here too. So be very careful in consideration if this is not an end game they've got. That's the 2 points. Is the rate increase really what they need? It's half what they actually need. And secondarily, if they don't get this rate increase, what's going to happen to the company? Is there plans, how they establish this company? Is it something they've set up as a separate company under the holding company that they can spin off as a bankruptcy or not? But take a close look at that. Have your attorneys take a look at it. That's all I've got to say in it.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. Questions from the parties? Questions, commissioners?
Questions? None?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diana Lackey, followed by David Stewart and Bill Danielson on deck. Bill Danielson on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Diana Lackey. I live in Waterford subdivision, which is just outside the limits of Irmo. And Blue Granite supplies me with the sewer service only. We have lived here 2 years this month. We moved here from Hilton Head. And I'm going to tell you that the combined water and service was so much cheaper there, they only billed us 4 times a year. That's how little it was. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the 3rd request in 3 years for the rate increase. My husband and I are retired, 2 of us in the house. The house is about 3,000 square feet roughly, if you count the sunroom. And we pay the same thing as a house next door that has like 112 people living in it. I don't understand. This is the first place I have ever lived in my life, and I've lived in a lot of places, where sewer was not somehow measured commensurate to the water usage. I mean, my water bill through the city of Columbia was like $25 this month. How can sewer be 65, 67, whatever it is we're paying? So my question to Blue Granite is, when you first came here to South Carolina to get into the utility business, my understanding is that part of this humongous rate increase is for the maintenance of our shabby infrastructure for sewer and water facility. Did your company not know what kind of shape the facilities were in before y'all took it over? And now you want to charge us out the wazoo to try to make that up? I think the gentleman that spoke before me spoke the truth on point number 2. And I would like for the PSC to really listen hard and think hard about what that last gentleman just said, because I think he's on to something. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Lackey. Questions from the parties? Commissioners.
Ms. Lackey.
Mr. Belzer.
Over here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your testimony. You characterized the infrastructure as shabby. Have you had issues in the neighborhood, and if so, could you describe those?
No, I've had no issues, and that's the reason I read in some of the local papers that part of the reason they were asking, Blue Granite was asking for these increase, for this humongously high increase, was because of the state of the water treatment facilities and the sewer facilities that they're having to operate with, and that they're having to expend all these funds to upgrade them, to repair them. And my question is, did nobody in the company check to see what they were buying or getting into before they got into it?
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you
Thank you,
being
Ms.
here tonight.
Lackey. Appreciate your testimony. Okay.
Next we have David Stewart, followed by Bill Danielson and Jake Moore on deck. Jake Moore to the front, please.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name.
David Stewart. I live in Coatsworth. I signed up to say something tonight, and I wasn't sure I was going to say anything, but then I thought differently. I am not a customer of Blue Granite. However, I'm a customer of the city of Columbia, and I would hope that the people here tonight who are fighting against this rate increase, if there is a future increase from the city of Columbia for my water and my sewer, that they'll have my back, because I have theirs. I've been here in this state for over 35 years. It seems like every year that Carolina Water was here, there was some controversy about what the heck they got away with. It looks to me like that the company that took over is kind of like a brother from another mother. The names have been changed. Somewhere along the line, someone has failed to understand that a company that wants a 10% return is obscene when there are other ways to earn your money besides hitting the ratepayers. Now, I don't know what their tax forms say, what their expenses versus their profit has been the last few years, but I will wager what's in my pocket right now that they really haven't explored the alternatives in the private bond market to see how they can pad the kind of money that they're trying to ask from all these people that are seated behind me. I think it might be something that the commission would want to look at and make sure that the rates that they want are commensurate with the expenses, notwithstanding all the things that they're going to do in their new headquarters up in Greenville that they want these people to pay for. I think it's incumbent upon this commission and the interveners to make sure that they fight on the behalf of the people who are, it looks unfortunately, are going to have to pay the bulk of that 10% ROI. For those who are interested, the slogan on my shirt is Hawaiian. It means kua. It means resist.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Questions from the parties? Commissioners? Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Bill Danielson, followed by Georgia Coffey and Morris L. Bays Jr. Georgia Coffey and Morris Bays, please. Senior, fair enough.
Yes, sir. Bill Danielson. Arundel, good to see you. I want to look at the big picture here. I appreciate you being here tonight. You've heard enough numbers already to boggle the mind, but I want to look at it from a larger picture. I've been a businessman in this community for 30 years, specializing in finance, real estate, broker's license, own a payroll company currently. But as an ex-banker, 10.7% is a pretty good return on any business I've ever seen. The issue here is not the 10.7% as much as it's an open-ended 10.7%, which basically means whatever the contract is, there's no tie to the contract. It doesn't include overruns. They can overrun and go beyond budgets and then still add 10.7%. So really, we don't know what that number is. The bigger picture is, what is this going to do to the community? The people in this community, the citizens in this community, all on fixed budgets, a lot of them are. They are all threatening and probably having to move out. This is a very simple situation. It is going to cause harm to older citizens. It is going to force some to move, which will then have a very detrimental impact on the real estate market. It's going to plummet people's house values. It's going to do a lot of things to Irmo that we really do not want to see. Irmo is a beautiful town. It is a great town. We are striving to make it an even better town. But I can promise you, in some of these suburbs, if you glut this market with for sale signs, everyone loses. Everyone in this market's going to lose. Everyone in this community is going to lose. So I would just urge you all to think about the big picture. This is just the beginning with Blue Granite. I've been a Carolina Water Blue Granite consumer for a long time. What are they going to do with the infrastructure that they have? Most businesses go out and make the improvements. If I'm a tenant in a building, that building owner is going to repair that building, then he's going to raise my rent, right? He's not going to come to me and say, hey, you got to give me $4 million while I play with your $4 million. Listening to the president of this company just a week or so ago, he readily admitted he can't go 10 feet with a camera in a sewage pipe without it stopping. What is that? How is that going to be repaired with $4 million? It's not. We have sludge, we have sewerage, we have all of that flooding our neighborhoods, our rivers. It has to stop. This company has to be held accountable for what they've done and what they've taken on. They might have bought somebody else's problem, but it's called due diligence. In the real estate market, we practice due diligence every day. And I appreciate you all being out here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Danielson. Any questions from the parties? Questions, commissioners, questions? Thank you, sir, Mr.
Just a second,
Wait a
Mr.
minute.
Danielson,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You made a statement and attributed it to the president of Blue Granite. Where did you hear him?
Town council meeting here just a week or so ago.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danielson.
Next, we have Georgia Coffey, followed by Morris Bays Sr., Julius Waits. Julius Waits is on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir. Thank you. My name is Georgia Coffey. I live in the Rose Oak subdivision. I didn't think I was going to speak, but after hearing all this, my big concern is we've only lived here 2 years, and I'm shocked at the rates and I'm shocked at the whole concept of this not being tied to the amount of water coming in versus the amount of water going out. And what I've been reading in the paper kind of smacks something almost as egregious as the nuclear disaster a couple of years ago. The fact that Carolina Water Service was caught polluting the rivers and spent tons of money fighting the EPA over the fines and lost and expects all their clients, all their consumers to pay for their losses. And their losses were caused by their fact of not keeping up with this infrastructure or just simply not polluting the waters and keeping the facilities intact. And I just don't think that changing a name improves anything. And I don't think we need to reward these people with more money for previous bad behavior. They're just bad actors, and I just don't think they have it due to them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Coffey. Any questions? Mr. Bateman.
Ms. Coffey, I have one quick question. You mentioned you didn't think that changing a name improved anything. Have you noticed better service since CWS changed its name from Carolina Water Service to Blue Granite?
Not a whit of difference.
Thank you. Commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Coffey. Appreciate you being here.
Next we have Morris Bay Sr., Julius Waits, and Pat Stedman on deck. Pat Stedman, please.
I do, sir. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address.
Excuse me. Morris Bays. I live at 142 Rockhampton Road in New Friars Gate. The Blue Granite Company, I was really impressed when they said they was going to name it after our state capitol, because that's what our state capitol is built out of, blue granite. That really impressed me a lot. I mean, I thought that was nice of them. But, and I hope you think I'm doing sarcastic when I say that. I am. But my wife and I live in a 1,600 square foot house, 1,600 and some few feet square house. And I have a garden in the back. Last year, my water bill was over $100 on several occasions. And every time my water bill goes up, my sewage bill goes up. Several years ago, under the old name, they come into my backyard and they put in a system. I'm thinking that if we didn't pay our bill, that their thing down in the bottom would cut it off and we'd have our flood in the house. But they done somewhere close to 980 square feet of yard work that I had to redo. And I got 100 square feet from them of grass. And I have been upset about that ever since, and I can't get an answer from anybody on that. I call them, in fact, I've stopped calling them because of, I think about 4 years ago, I stopped calling because it didn't seem to be going anywhere. It was just a dead subject as far as they're concerned. They had to bring this tractor in the backyard to make a trench in order to bury this pipe. And I've cut this pipe off even with the top of the ground in order to put a cover on it so I could run my lawnmower over it and not have to go around it all the time. But I think, like everyone else has spoken originally, since before me, the rates are outrageous. And my daughter and son-in-law, they live in a much bigger house than we do, over 2.5 times bigger. They want us to move into them, and we've been thinking very serious about it. The only reason I don't, because I know I'm 80 years old, but I don't want to lose my independence. And if I live in, you move in with somebody else, you lose some of that. And I'm not ready for that yet. But take into consideration what these people said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bays. Mr. Bays, hang on 1 second. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the parties?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Belser.
Mr. Bass.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate your testimony. We all do. Do you receive water service and sewer service from Blue Granite, or just sewer service?
Just sewer.
Just sewer. Okay. You got some company representatives over here. You might want to talk with them, and if they're not.
Well, I did finally get a hold of one, and I was basically ignored. I sent a letter like he asked me to, and I never heard back from the gentleman.
And tell me when that happened.
I'm going to say approximately 4 years ago, they came all through New Friars Gate. Am I correct when I say that? About 4 years ago,
They'll know.
maybe 5.
About 4 or 5 years
Yes,
ago.
ma'am.
Okay.
And literally tore my backyard up with that little tractor they had. And all they did was replace 100 square feet, which is a 10 by 10.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And
Thank you very much.
I had over 600 square feet, 800 square feet to replace.
That you had to pay for.
That I had to pay for, yes, ma'am. That was above what they paid for.
Okay.
Mr. Ellaby.
Thank you.
Some different people here.
Yes.
You might try speaking to some of these folks that are here tonight.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Bays, members of the Office of Regulatory Staff, looking right back, he's got his hand waving. That's a good person to talk with as well. So, thank you. Appreciate your testimony.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Mr. Bays.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Over here.
I don't have my hearing aids in, I'm sorry.
Are you still having trouble with that, what they did with your sewer in the back? Are you still having, I know they tore your yard up and didn't.
No, I'm not having any
You're not
problem.
having any service trouble?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, again, like the chairman said, you got the company and you got ORS here. You got a lot of resources here tonight, and we would certainly encourage you to get help.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I've got this big manhole covering my backyard, about 2.5 feet circle. I do get pungent odors out of it on several occasions. It's mostly during the summer. And my deck being in the backyard, it depends on which way the wind's blowing. You can't sit on the deck. And I don't, I thought about going out and put silicone around it, but then someone would fuss about that.
Well, you got a lot of resources here. Thank you for your testimony, and I would certainly encourage you to reach out to both the company and the state are both here tonight, and I would certainly, you got a lot of people here that can help you tonight, and thank you for being here. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bays.
Julius Waits, followed by Pat Stedman and Dale Davis to the front, please. Dale Davis.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
Julius Waits. I am not a customer of Blue Granite. I served on the IRMO Council 4 years, and I'm here representing some people that called me and asked me to come and speak. Blue Granite was not the company here. It was Carolina Water, then it was Utilities Incorporated, then it became Blue Granite. The 21st at the IRMO Town Council meeting, Don Denton, president of Blue Granite, was here, and he did state that the infrastructure of the sewer system in New Friars Gate was in terrible condition, and as someone said, you could put a camera in and only go maybe 10 or 15 feet, and that was it. That the roots were going through the sewer lines. Some sewer lines were turning back on themselves, and they would have to be redone. He also said that Course Regulated Utilities is the parent company in North Carolina, and under Blue Granite is something called Clear Water Solutions. It's the contract operator of the sewer plant. With all these different utility companies, no wonder they can't get anything done. I also want to thank you all for coming, because you folks are going to catch all the hell, and you're not responsible. You are appointed by our state legislature. They make the laws that you are stuck with enforcing. Just like SCE&G when Westinghouse had declared bankruptcy. And I have personal knowledge that they bought Chicago Iron and Bridge Works to the tune, I forget what the amount was, but they didn't realize the books had been cooked to the tune of $3 billion. The parent company of Westinghouse is Toshiba Electronics in Japan. But our residents of South Carolina are going to catch the grief. I've lived in Richland County, soon be 75 years. When I lived in the city of Columbia, my water bill and sewer bill were together. Whatever came in went out till I got a pool and put a sprinkler system in. Then it changed. The water bill went up, sewer bill went up. Well, some of that water wasn't leaving. Who made that law? Our state legislature gave them the right to do that, and the state legislature also gives utilities the right to a certain amount of profit. And they can pass any fines they get on to the consumer. Dominion Energy just lost that privilege in Virginia. The state of Virginia's Public Service Commission, through their legislature, took that away. But in South Carolina, the fine can be passed on to us. Catherine Heigl, who used to be in DHEC, went to work for Blue Granite to straighten things out. Catherine resigned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Waits. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners, any questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Pat Stedman, followed by Dale Davis and Pamela Burton. Pamela Burton is on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
My name is Pat Stedman. I came up here basically but most of the points have already been made, and they're very valid. But my personal opinion, and I think they've kind of proved it to themselves, that it's a highly incompetent company. They've had many spills. Also, last July, I'm sitting there at my computer desk one morning and just happened to notice out of the corner of my eye there's an orange shirt walking in my backyard. I'm like, what's he doing? He goes back there, pulls the cap off my sewer, and I'm watching him. He sticks a long pole down in it. Finally, I go out there and ask him what he's doing. What are you doing? He said, I startled him. He said, I'm sorry, sir, I'm at the wrong address. He said, everything will be fine in about 10 minutes. And I said, well, everything was fine before you got here. Okay, not end of story. I didn't really think no more about it. About 8:30 that night, my daughter took a shower upstairs. I'm at the computer desk again. I hear gurgling. And I'm like, what is that? I go in. Both of my downstairs toilets have overflowed. Toilet paper, everything had come back in my house. Of course, I called Blue Granite. 8:30 at night, guess what? Answering service. So I said, okay. I said, this might be a good thing. I'll have time to cool off a little bit to call them in the morning, which I did. I asked the lady who answered the phone, I said, is there any particular reason y'all plugged my sewer? And I gave her my account number and all that, and she's long hesitation. No, sir. Why? I said, because my downstairs is flooded, and it's not water, plain water. She put me on someone else, and she agreed the same thing. Then they put me on I don't know who. Third, it was a gentleman that time. He says, well, we'll get somebody on it right now. I said, well, it's pouring down rain outside. I said, is that going to affect you coming unplugging my sewer? No. I said, okay. Well, the guy came out. He unplugged and still swore up and down he never plugged. And I said, you want me to show you what you didn't plug? Yes, after 4.5 months, they have repaired my house, and it's up to par. I'm satisfied. I had mold problems. I had smell problems. But my point is the company is really not competent. They've had many spills polluting our lakes and rivers. I don't know. It's up to y'all, and we do appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you, Mr. Stedman. Parties, questions, commissioners?
Mr. Stedman, when did this incident happen?
Last July.
July of 2019.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And it was Blue Granite at that time.
And they
It took about 4.5 months to get to
do
everything.
you have an elder valve that they screw down to plug your?
I don't know what the guy that was out there swore up and down. He never even plugged it. I said, "Do you want me to show you?" And I brought him in the house.
Okay.
And he took pictures.
Right.
And you know, my carpet it was ruined. Obviously, I mean, the molding, the floor molding, all that had to be replaced. Cabinets had to be replaced.
All right. Well, I appreciate your testimony tonight. Thank you for being
Thank you, Mr. Stedman.
Dale Davis, followed by Pamela Burton and Eric Sickinger. Dale Davis, Pamela Burton, Eric Sickinger.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Dale Davis. Thanks for listening to us. I moved to the Irmo area probably about 10 years ago from the northeast side of town. And at that time, my sewer bill was paid quarterly, and it was probably a fourth of what I'm paying, the $65 I'm paying now. My, not question, but my statement is, we need to have another choice. I mean, why do we have to be with Blue Granite for our sewer? I only have sewer with them. I have my water bill is usually about 25, and then I pay 65 to them. If they get this increase, my sewer bill is going to go over 100. I brought my friend with me. She's not with Blue Granite, but she lives 1 mile down the street from me, and she's on both city water and sewer. So I don't understand why I couldn't do that. I can't go. I've seen every subdivision, it seems like, in Irmo. They're just spotted. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Any questions? Ms. Davis, hang on one second. Any questions, parties, commissioners? Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, we need to get you on a microphone.
I don't know. I think then yours. My last one was $75, but I have a 4,000 square foot house. I have 14 people in there over the holidays. And I live in a 1,200 square foot patio home, and it's just me. I'm retired.
Thank you.
Next we have Pamela Burton. Pamela Burton followed by Eric Sickinger and Edgar Hedgecock. Edgar Hedgecock to the deck, please.
Yes, sir. Pamela Burton. I just want to say I come to the meetings and I wouldn't speak, but this time I think I need to let my voice be heard because this is ridiculous. You know, for them to get a rate increase and we sitting home, I'm sure there's a lot of people behind me. You got to look in both of your hands and ask the Lord, should I pay my sewer bill? Should I go to the grocery store? You don't know which one to do because they're always asking for a rate increase. And when you call and try to get your bill where you can make arrangements on it, there's always somebody smart, you know. And I'm saying if they're not acting smart toward you, you on hold for a long time. And I'm at work, and that causes problems because I have incoming calls from people that I have to answer. But I'm still trying to handle business, and this rate increase just keep going and keep going. I got a disabled husband, so I'm really the sole money maker in the house. But trying to buy his medicine and my medicine and keep these bills going, it's very hard. And I don't see the reason for the rate increase. What are we getting out of it? What are they doing with the money? I know you can't answer the question, but I beg and I plead with you all to help us. We need the help as a customer. And I don't think I would move, but if it keep going up, something's going to have to happen. You all going to have to help us dig deep. Hey, somebody's going to have to come out their pocket with some money because we ain't going to have it if they keep taking from us. So that's my concern, and I've heard a lot of good things said tonight. And with those things being said, I hope you all take it into consideration for us.
Thank you, Ms. Burton. Any questions from the parties? Mr. Bateman.
Thank you, Ms. Burton, for being here. If I may seek clarification, when you say you've called in and someone's being smart, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, it's been times I've had to call because I might have missed 2 payments going into the 3rd payment. And I remember one time, I actually laughed with the guy. I said, you know, I got to flush my toilet. He laughed, I laughed. I said, so are you going to give me an arrangement now? He said, I'll see what I can do. But I don't know whether that joke got him to do it or what. But I was being dead serious about it. But it's been times where you get people that's so short with you. You know, they don't have patience. And I deal with people every day. Whether I like it or not, I got to smile. And I got to do what I got to do on my job.
Thank you, Ms. Burton.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Burton. Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Eric Sickinger, followed by Edgar Hedgecock and Chris Kessler. Chris Kessler to the deck.
I do. All right, Eric Sickinger. I represent not only myself as a ratepayer, but also 1,400 rate-paying customers in the town of Irmo as an Irmo councilman. I have prepared remarks, so they won't be off the cuff. I've never seen a business rewarded so frequently and so often for failure like this wing of the Corex companies, as they've been rewarded by PSC over the last 3 to 5 years. Let there be no confusion, this is a bailout at the expense of the ratepayer. Much like other bailouts, it results in the everyday citizen paying out of pocket while affording the company a life raft for profit, excusing the previous failures, like polluting our waterways, the failed Friars Gate plant, mismanagement of assets, and providing an outlet and funds for extravagant expenditures. This rate hike request represents an existential threat to many of my constituents and an existential threat to every single one of the fixed and low-income ratepayers for Blue Granite. The history of this wing of the Corex companies polluting our waterways is well documented. Other people can talk about that. At the end of the day, they have 3 jobs: collect, treat, and don't pollute. And they failed at that. When I want to make more money, I work harder. If I want to keep more money in my pocket, I spend less. I don't tell the people that I work for, well, I've mismanaged my job for the last 3 years, so now if you want me to do my job right, you better pay me more. That's essentially what Blue Granite is saying to PSC. Ratepayers have been paying for the proper collection and treatment for years, including rate hikes, which have got us to $65 a month. While those profits have been neatly tucked away and paid to pensioners in Canada, all the while the ratepayer has endured the pain of opening the paper to see another spill, another example of mismanagement, and now you want to raise? This whole process of rewarding an organization for all of their capital expenditures, discretionary spending, and mismanagement over the last 5 years with an even larger pool of cash from ratepayers is disturbing and antithetical to the way business is run anywhere outside of PSC and monopoly business. Was there no reserve appropriated over the course of the last 5 years to do maintenance? It didn't seem so. Was there any reserve to properly manage the Friars Gate treatment plant, to rectify the constancy of pollution issues that stand in stark juxtaposition to the Clean Water Act? I would ask that Blue Granite cut costs elsewhere. There must be a requirement of give and take. If you take from the ratepayers, then you must say, while we recognize the significant increase in rates is prohibitive, then you must cut costs as well. Discretionary spending is not something that we should be paying for. To that point, Blue Granite, your relocations and $500,000 in your rebranding represent a complete opposite of accessibility, accountability, and cutting discretionary expenditures. Don't ask ratepayers to set aside a portion of their bill to help individuals who cannot pay. Rather, we should be demanding that Blue Granite set aside a portion of their funds for a reserve fund for individuals who cannot pay. I am concerned about the existential threat that this rate hike represents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate you being here tonight and speaking out and speaking up for your voters and constituents. I know they appreciate your effort. Does the company have a local office here?
No.
Has the company ever reached out to the city or to the town and the community to make any kind of contributions or be a part of the community?
Last week was the first time.
All right.
That I'm aware of.
And that's when they came and spoke to council?
Correct.
Did they express any plans to be more involved in the community?
They expressed those plans, yes.
Were they specific in their plans? Or?
No, they were not.
Okay. Have you asked them to consider keeping an office in the area and being a part of the community? You think that would be an important consideration?
I would think that would be an important consideration, but I would prefer to not do that if that means another increase to our ratepayers.
I understand. I appreciate your concerns tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your.
I do have the remainder of my notes. Can I enter them into the record?
Sure. We'll take that and we'll mark it as exhibit number 8.
My name is Ed Hitchcock. I live in Rollingwood subdivision in Lexington. I was unable to attend a Monday hearing over there. However, I feel so strongly about the issue that I came here tonight to speak to y'all. I've lived in Lexington for over 30 years. When I moved into Rollingwood with my family, the subdivision had fire hydrants. At some point, I can't remember because it's been so long ago, Carolina Water removed those fire hydrants. We've never been able to get an explanation from Carolina Water why that was done. A little over 2 years ago, there was a house fire in our subdivision. Before the Lexington County Fire Service could bring a hose in over a quarter of a mile from Old Cherokee Road, that house burned to the ground. The elderly couple and their disabled daughter lost everything. They lost their house, they lost their belongings, and they lost their lifelong memories. Shortly after this, I attended a Carolina Water public hearing in Oak Grove. I brought that question up and I asked the representative, what were they going to do about it? What did we need to do about it? After repeated emails and phone calls, they kept saying, we're looking into it, we're looking into it. After a while, they just quit. They didn't answer emails. When I called, I didn't get a return call. Then came the name change and a move to the upstate, which we were paying for again. I again tried with Blue Granite. I made a call one time. I got a reply. We're going to look into it. We'll give it to our engineering department. I called several more times. I never got an email from this guy. Nothing. Not a thing. Rollingwood's paying the same rates as our neighbor, Silver Creek, I believe. It's hard to find out what each subdivision's rates is unless you really get into it. And I want to know, when is Rollingwood going to get the same level of service, fire hydrants, that other subdivision that Blue Granite has? How much we've already paid over all these years that the other subdivisions are paying, and we haven't gotten the same level of service? We should not have to face this increase till we have fire protection at least equal to what the other subdivisions do. Silver Creek has a fire hydrant almost on every other corner. We have one on the main road that doesn't work. Our families and our homes are at risk every day. That's over 100 homes, and I don't know how many people, probably at least 200 or 300. I thank you for considering this vital issue for the Rollingwood citizens.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the parties? Mr. Bateman.
Mr. Hitchcock, I've got one really quick question. You say that the one fire hydrant you have doesn't work. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Well, I don't know exactly why, but when they came there for the fire at the house, they hooked up to it, and they couldn't get any water out of it. That's why they had to go out to Old Cherokee Road to the nearest county fire hydrant to get water.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Irvin.
Have you talked with the new ownership about the fire hydrants?
Yes, I called them up and I talked to one of the representatives.
When was that?
It's probably like 2 years ago now, because it was shortly after the meeting when they came in as Blue Granite.
You never got any follow-up?
I got one follow-up call, and he said, we're looking into it. We'll turn it over to our engineering department. I called 2 or 3 more times, and they never returned my call.
Would you be willing to meet with them tonight and discuss it?
Sure, I'd be willing to meet with them anytime.
They're here, and I suggest that you do that so that they can look into it, and then we'll have the officer.
Well, they're looking into it for 2.5 years.
I think we may get some progress. Let's see. Let's try it. It won't hurt. If we don't, then I'd like to know about it. Okay?
I'll try that. I'll try anything. My house is at risk because I live a long way from that fire hydrant.
Is there a company representative that could talk with the gentleman? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chris Kessler, followed by Katana Pecan and Ken Hadley. Ken Hadley is on deck.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Chris Kessler. I live on Compass Rose Way in Rose Oaks. And I'm here. First of all, thank you all for coming here to listen to us. I don't have anything really new to say that you haven't already heard. I moved here from Texas a couple years ago, so I don't have a long history with Carolina Water or Blue Granite. I can tell you that when I first bought my house, I signed up for all the utilities. I went back to Texas to sell the house. And the first thing I get in the mail is a bill from Carolina Water, Utilities Inc., whatever. And I'm like, what's this for? It's your sewer. Well, I'm not there. I haven't flushed a toilet. I haven't taken a shower. And I'm paying a ridiculous amount of water or sewer bill. And I haven't used any water yet. That was ridiculous. And I found out we have a flat rate. I'm not accustomed to that. I've lived in a lot of other communities. It's what you use, you pay for. And that's what I would like to see here. So I believe that this rate increase is ridiculous. We're already being overcharged. Being a retiree, a single person living in a single family home, I use the minimum amount of water. I pay $13 and some odd cents to Columbia for my water. I use less than 750 gallons a month. So $13 for water and $65, enough. I'm retired, as I said. I don't have the money to give. I'm going to have to move. I don't want to do that. I think that this rate increase that just showed unmitigated gall on their part to even request it, it's nothing but a money grab. I think that they're throwing something at the wall and hoping something sticks, and they'll get something out of it. From what I've been hearing this week from different meetings on TV, I've been hearing that it's been 14 or so years, they've just had a rubber stamp. Whatever they asked for, they got from the commission. I'm hoping that that's not true. I'm hoping that there's another answer you can provide besides approved. And I don't think no is the answer. I think hell no is the answer to this. Absolutely hell no. I think that you need to reject this request entirely and then require, if it's within your purview, to do billing by use. This situation needs a hero, and I'm hoping that the hero is here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. Any questions from the parties? Thank you, ma'am.
Katana Pecan, Ken Hadley, Charles Shirley. You have Charles Shirley. Ken Hadley, Charles Shirley.
I do. My name's Ken Hadley. I live in the Waterford Housing Development. My wife and I moved here from up north 12, 13 years ago, and we located this specific area because the cost of living was more fair, utilities were more fair, and we thought it was a perfect place to retire. We came from a community where we got quarterly utility water and sewer rates. And I can tell you right now that you are getting 3 times the rate that we paid in Toledo, Ohio. You are getting 3 times the rate that we paid in Pennsylvania for 3 years. I've owned a couple of small businesses, and I know what it is to operate, make a profit, and treat your customers fairly so they keep coming back. I have never thought of passing these ridiculous increases onto my customers. We just love living in Irmo. It's probably the most pleasant place that we've ever lived. But I can't justify these increases that you just keep passing over and over and over again. If anything else, what you're doing is you are driving people out of the town. I feel that with all of the testimony that has been presented to you tonight, we should be demanding a decrease in our bills. Not an increase, but a decrease. I don't believe that the mismanagement and the moving cost and all of the other things that the people who have already made presentations should be passed on to Irmo residents. It just is very unfair and very unjust. And I thank all of you for coming here to hear us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're gonna take about a 10-minute break. Our court reporter has to say every word that's said. We need to give her vocal cords a rest, so we'll be back in 10 minutes and continue. Folks, if we could get everybody to start taking your seats.
No, he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Not acting as part of a lawyer.
He said he was representing the town of Irmo, and they said they had intervened, so he'll have full intervention rights.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, they have what it should be.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Bachman to call our next witnesses. If we could ask everybody, please.
Next, we have Sue Love. Sue Love to the podium, please, followed by Charles Shirley and Thomas Lawhorn.
Yes, sir. Sue Love. I moved in here to South Carolina in 2003. Found the people to be wonderful. Found the water bill to be monthly what I was used to paying quarterly. Now, my house consists of me and 2 Yorkies. None of us drink the water. You know, I tasted the water. It tastes terrible. And I lost one of my Yorkies when I moved here in '09. I lost him due to kidney disease. So, strictly bottled water. And I'm not in favor of bottled water because I think that we're destroying the earth. But my comment here is a concern of how can anybody rationally allow a municipal company to go ahead and propose rates increases to this amount? It just doesn't make sense. The state should have some type of program that limits the amount of rate increases. I'm talking about percentages. And all, because let's face it, if I were to go ahead as a business person and tell my customers, hey, I'm going to increase your rate by 27%, I'd lose a good portion of my client base. Also, I want to know if a large portion of these rate increases are for bonuses for the CEOs and the top executives. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners? Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank y'all.
Next we have Charles Shirley, Thomas Lawhorn, and Barry Walker. Thomas Lawhorn and Barry Walker to the podium, please.
Yes, sir, I do. Good evening. My name is Thomas Lawhorn. I am from the Murray Landing subdivision, which is right over here behind Publix off of Highway 6 and Irmo Drive. Just recently got appointed to the board as a board member for our HOA. Just over a year ago, I got lucky, met the love of my life, got married, and moved down here with my wife. And she had bought the property back around end of 2016, early 2017. And she moved in, and then of course I came in the picture, we got married. And the first question I noticed, and I asked my wife, I started looking, was the bills. Looked at the sewer bill. I'm originally from Darlington County, so luckily up from my neck of the woods, from where I'm at, I was out in the country. So we had, good old septic tank service. And I looked at the sewer bill. I said, baby, $65 a month for sewer? I'm used to a septic tank, but $65 a month for sewer. That's the first question I had. Then I noticed the City of Columbia water bill we got, $30 a month. So you tell me, look at it rationally. How can you have city water, we're using a 1,200 square foot home, city water, $30 a month, $65 a month for sewer? And then now you want to do a rate increase and put the sewer bill $102 a month? Our light bill is $107 on average a month, all peak season. When it's not summertime, you're using more energy, or wintertime, you're using more heat. But a sewer bill right there with our light bill. And what's even more sad is I've heard a lot of testimony tonight. My neighbor next door, she's 84. Single income. Our neighbor across the street, single income. Single income, my other neighbor. My surroundings in that neighborhood, there's one income. There are fixed incomes. And it's $102 a month you're wanting to put the sewer? It's not just unfair to me, a young married couple just getting our lives started good together. But imagine somebody that's worked their whole life, and you want to make them pay that much a month for sewer? It's insane. That's all I got to say. And I thank y'all for taking all our comments, and I hope y'all take this in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hang on. Let me see if any questions. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners? Thank you very much for being here.
Up next is Barry Walker, followed by Susan Lawhead and Ava O'Brien. Barry Walker, Susan Lawhead, and Ava O'Brien.
Affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Barry Walker. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Barry Walker. I am also the mayor of Irmo, South Carolina, and I want to thank y'all for coming here tonight and hearing from the constituents. Y'all have heard all night that we want what I call truth in billing. People are paying $25 for water service, and they're paying $65 for sewer service, and now they're proposing to go to $100 a month. The biggest thing for us that I'm hearing from my constituents is that we're not giving them truth in billing, which means you're paying for the volume that they're using. It's a fixed rate, and that's hurting them. More importantly, I understand that Blue Granite now doesn't process sewage anymore. They're simply pumping it to the City of Columbia and letting them process it. So if they're doing that, and they're not doing anything extra to process the sewer, the rate increase is certainly questionable, especially when coming from our neighborhood, my 1,400 residents. What they're proposing right now is to take about $141,000 a month out of my community. And it's a lot of money to be taken from the lady who has a $25 a month water bill, the single parents that are out here trying to make ends meet. We want you to consider that when looking at their rate increase. What are they doing with that? What are they getting? What are we getting in return? Are they getting a better sewer service? Are they processing more sewer? Well, we know that those two things is not true. We have citizens out here that will testify in a little while that they're doing a lot of construction or maintenance in people's backyards. Their backyards are tore up. I mean, literally holes, pipe infrastructure going in, and these people are not getting their backyards repaired. And this is from the Blue Granite Company. I guess they're representatives. Those things need to be taken in consideration. But again, I thank you for coming here tonight and listening to us. Oh, one more thing. Is there a fund set up from Blue Granite to help the people that are in need, the people that can't pay the bills? That was another question that one of my council members brought forward. I hope that there is or would be. I don't know if there's like the other utility companies has to help them, but thank you.
Mayor, thank you for being here. Let me ask if there are any questions of the parties. Mr. Moore.
Mr. Mayor, could you explain to them the difference in the sewer rate now being charged compared to the sewer rates from, say, the City of Columbia and the other utilities who provide sewer in the area?
Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Moore, I'm not happy with the City of Columbia either. But I can tell you that out of the 1,400 people that live in the Friarsgate community, and I'm just going to do some quick math, and they're talking about $101 a month. You got, and that's compared to what they're getting now. Okay. Hold on one second. Now they're paying $91,000 a month out of our community. They want 141 now proposed. So again, I don't know how much infrastructure repair they have to do, but $141,000, but $50,000 a month worth of infrastructure improvements seems like a lot to me and to my other 1,400 residents that told me, Mr. Mayor, I got a $25 water bill. You're telling me I have to pay $101 a month in sewer.
Doesn't seem to make economic sense, does it?
Not really. But again, if they're not processing it anymore, they're pumping it to City of Columbia, we can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate you being here tonight to speak, and we appreciate you letting us be here.
Susan Lawhead, followed by Ava O'Brien and Ellis Burns. Susan Lawhead, Ava O'Brien, and Ellis Burns. If you could head to the podium, please. If not, I will continue with the names. Clint Scoville, Vince Vaquero, Rosamond Tobe,
Yes. My name is Vince Vaquero. I'm here representing my mother-in-law who lives in the Stonegate subdivision. Haven't heard anybody mention the Stonegate subdivision yet tonight, but the last time I was here, a month ago, I brought pictures with me from the previous week on December 3rd, 2019, where we actually opened up the faucet and had brown, dirty, disgusting water. I pitched the question to each of you as you left. I know the mayor was up there as well, that when you go home tonight and you go to shower, wash your hands, cook, clean, do anything, to think about the pictures that you saw that I brought. And is your water going to do that? Because that's what we do every single day. We don't know if it's going to come out brown. We don't know if it's going to be able to be drunk or drank. We can't cook with it, can't clean with it, can't even wash our dishes. Now I want to put in perspective, which I know a couple people have, the cost of what it's going to take and how much that rate hike actually is in dollars. I know one other gentleman did this. This is taking my mother-in-law's lowest bill from August of 2019. I do want to say beforehand, she has no lawn sprinklers. She does not wash her car. She runs 2 loads of laundry a week and only runs a dishwasher once. Her sewer bill was $65.08. The water bill was $21.31. If you take the sewer 56% hike, not on top of everything else that's going to be hiked on there, it's going to add another $36 a month, and the water 45% will be roughly about $10. Again, that's on the low end of the bill. Single person in the house doesn't use that much more, which roughly is going to be about $46 extra a month. That's going to put her bill to about $135, $140 a month, one person. I live 2 miles down the road with my wife and 2 kids. Our average sewer and water bill a month is $80. I run sprinklers, I wash cars, I run 6 loads of laundry per week, and I run the dishwasher 3 times. So again, to what many people have said, the hike just doesn't make sense. It's so hard on a single or fixed family income. There's a gentleman who shed tears up here shortly ago who doesn't want to lose his independence, but this company is aiming for that. You have an opportunity to not let that happen to the citizens of Irmo, who some of them have been here for almost 80 years of their life. It's something that we don't have a choice. I know one other lady said it. We don't have a choice. I have City of Columbia water, seem to be fine with it, but we don't even get right now what we pay for. The quality is not good. Again, we don't know when we go like that if it's going to be brown, if we can cook with it or clean with it. The quality of service is not even close to what we pay for now, and then to have to add money on top of it, that just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners, any questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Rosamund Tobe up next, followed by Jim Banks, Kathy Banks, Brad Kaufman.
Yes. Hi, I'm Rosamund Taub, and I live in Ricefield Plantation subdivision. I'm part of the Homeowners Association, and we oppose the increase. Number one, the consumer price index for the last 3 years have been about 2% every year. And you're asking for 56% increase on your sewer bill? The bank pays less than 2%. I mean, think about the balance of what they're asking, because 2% versus 56%, we're all just losing money like crazy to absorb the costs of a physically unresponsible company. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners, thank you very much for being here tonight.
We have Jim Banks, Kathy Banks, Brad Kaufman. Now we'll move on. Jim Banks, Kathy Banks, Brad Kaufman.
Good evening, sir.
Baker Fernandez is up next on deck, please.
Good evening. My name is Brad Kaufman, and I live in Southwell. I have one statement and one question. And actually, it's not my statement. It's the mission statement of Blue Granite. And it states, the mission statement to improve the quality of life for our customers and communities by providing safe, reliable, and cost-effective water and wastewater services while promoting environmental stewardship. That's the mission statement. Excuse me. It sounds like to me we may be falling a little bit short on that. The question that I have is, please explain to me Blue Granite's corporate structure? As I understand it, Blue Granite Water Company and Water Service Corporation, WSC, are subsidiaries of Inland Pacific Resources Incorporated, which is owned by, Sorex Regulated Utilities, CRU, which is wholly owned by a subsidiary of Sorex Infrastructure Incorporated, which is CII, which is privately held corporation owned by certain affiliates of British Columbia Investment Management Corporation. Who holds the stock in this privately held company? How are the profits passed from Blue Granite up the chain to each of these companies? You all know everybody must have a piece of the pie. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Sylvia Weiss, Ashley Faust. Sylvia Weiss and Ashley Faust.
I do. My name is Baker Fernandez, and I live in Lexington off Beach Creek Road. And Blue Granite provides us with water and sewage. And currently, right now, it is just myself and my father. We take a shower each day, run dishes once a week. I don't have grass to be watered. I don't have a swimming pool. And right now, our water and sewage are $60 a month. With a rate increase, it'll be $150